Welcome to our world. We'll try this. Okay. I'm Lily Collins.
And I'm Ashley Park.
And we're on the set of Emily in Paris. Thank God we did that at the same time.
I think what was really fun about discovering our characters in season 1 was discovering their fashion sense. I think coming into season 2 now, we go into these fittings and we say, oh, that's so Mindy, or I'll see something to say, oh, that's so Emily.
For Emily specifically, I think someone that wears something that's a mixture of patterns and prints, textures and styles, designers, vintage, new, high street, couture, in a way that feels still very relatable, even though it's aspirational.
In terms of the clothes, I think when people think of Paris, they think of fashion. And I think it's part of the fantasy of watching the series.
In Emily, we didn't want to do the transformation of a young girl who don't know how to dress herself, and suddenly she came in Paris and she understands how fashion is.
We are portraying a character. Script comes first, then the actors, you meet them, and you put that together and you create a visual look for each one. Lily Collins gives you that energy. She's professional and she's happy, and in her role, she's professional and happy.
Every actor inspires in a certain way because they are, in a certain way, the character.
I think Mindy loves to break the boundaries a little bit. She is edgy, but classy, colorful, but chic. I think that Mindy kind of keeps people guessing.
Always.
Every time I come in an outfit, Lily/Emily's like, oh my gosh, that's such a Mindy thing, but what exactly is a Mindy?
That's what it is. It's actually, what is that? Was that a dress that's been made into a pantsuit that was once a scarf? That's kind of how I feel like Mindy, or Ashley keeps me guessing.
Gabriel, c'est quelqu'un d'assez terre-à-terre par rapport aux autres personnages de la série qui sont vraiment extrêmement expansifs et fleuris et qui ont une forte signature identitaire. Donc c'est quelqu'un qui va s'habiller simplement, assez fonctionnel. Et après on a trouvé des nuances, on s'est dit voilà, c'est quelqu'un d'assez mélancolique. Donc on a choisi des couleurs d'automne, ça va assez bien en adéquation avec ce qu'il est.
I think this season we've elevated Emily's style a little bit more. Her wardrobe has become more vast, but you know, still maintaining that Emily vibe of a wow factor and sometimes a laugh that she's in on, but I think it has been elevated
or not
a little
in
bit.
on.
Or not. Story of my life.
I've always had a real love of France and Paris. I've traveled here a lot since I was a kid, and I thought there'd be like a lot of comedic possibilities in the idea of a young woman coming to Paris for a job in which she wasn't necessarily suited for the position in terms of not speaking French, and she was sort of thrown in there. Emily is this idea of a young woman who would be very American, overconfident, a little culturally tone deaf, but with this incredible enthusiasm and resiliency.
She's a very joyful character. She has her heart on her sleeve. She's extremely polite, extremely patient.
I think season 1 was very much about Emily seeing the world through her eyes. She's getting to know everybody. She's seeing Paris for the first time. We're really experiencing Paris from Emily's point of view. And I think season 2, now that we've gotten to know a lot of the characters that she works with, that she's friends with, she's gotten involved intimately with a number of these, we start to follow their stories also. And I think the stories deepen. I think we get to know the supporting cast a lot more in season 2.
Basically, Ashley and I are Emily and Mindy half the time, if not
all the
95% of the time. I think there's way more of a depth to their relationship this season because as any new friendship, it evolves, right? It grows, it deepens. They're able to be more vulnerable with one another. They're there to support one another through their insecurities, fears, hopes, dreams, their careers, their relationships, their lack of relationships, their confusion around relationships. And I think that that's what real girl friendships are all about.
Alors quand on quitte la saison 1, déjà, Gabriel se retrouve face à une opportunité, avoir un investisseur justement pour accomplir son rêve et avoir plus la main mise sur sa cuisine et sur son restaurant. Donc ça va être un peu le challenge dans cette saison, c'est de pouvoir vraiment proposer une cuisine qui lui ressemble, avoir un restaurant qui a plus sa signature et son identité. Et du coup ça va être un peu son challenge, puisque c'est bien de vouloir quelque chose, mais une fois qu'on l'obtient, qu'est-ce qu'on en fait ?
suis Anne Seibel, la chef décoratrice d'Emily in Paris. Le premier décor qu'on a fait l'année dernière, c'était le décor de Savoir, la boîte de communication. L'idée, c'était ça, c'est de prendre un bâtiment classique haussmannien et d'apporter toute une touche moderne. C'est un grand appartement qu'on a construit en studio. L'extérieur de cet appartement est sur la place Valois, donc pour suggérer qu'on était sur place. Dans les scènes en studio, on a construit des découvertes qui sont des grosses diapositives qu'on éclaire. Et donc à partir du moment où j'avais fait toute la structure, j'ai commencé à travailler sur des dessins et des illustrations. Le côté cafétéria avec le couloir qui amène de l'autre côté, le bureau d'Emily. Donc ça, c'était le premier gros décor qu'on a fait parallèlement à l'appartement d'Emily qu'on a construit aussi, qui était une chambre de bonne de luxe. C'est-à-dire, l'idée, c'était d'avoir 2 petites chambres de bonne réunies pour faire un petit appartement minuscule. Et cette année, on a recréé la cage d'escalier de l'immeuble de Gabriel et Émilie, parce qu'entre-temps, ils ont tout repeint. Et donc, c'était plus raccord. Et on a construit aussi le restaurant de Gabriel, qui est place de l'Estrapade. Il y a cette terrasse extérieure. Et donc, j'ai créé une salle de restaurant beaucoup plus grande, et puis une vraie cuisine. Moi, ce que j'aime sur cette série, c'est qu'on construit beaucoup et ça j'aime bien, mais on a aussi accès à plein de lieux qu'on ne verrait pas si on ne faisait pas cette série. Par exemple, la Samaritaine qui a été fermée pendant 16 ans, on a pu tourner dans la Samaritaine avant que ça ouvre. C'est un truc incroyable.
Paris has a strong romantic attraction to certainly Americans. It always has historically, and I think to people all over the world it's sort of a dream to live here and imagine what it might be like. So from the beginning, I think is something that's really sort of an appealing fantasy for people everywhere.
I think the show is successful because of this one right here, She's Magical, but also because the show was escapism for everybody, and it's warm and it's romantic and it's comedic and it's fun and fashionable. More adjectives?
Yeah, I think it was something that people needed when it came out. It was, like Ashley said, a sense of escapism and magic and nostalgia for what we missed. We missed travel, we missed being around people, we missed color and vibrancy and laughter.
And our friends.
Someone said to me once they watched it that it reminded them of what fun felt like. And that to me was the greatest compliment, because I know that we had so much fun filming, and to be able to relive that through the show was a real gift. So I'm really excited, as I think we both are, for more of that season 2. Cheers.
So we were like,
sorry, we literally read each other's brains, so I hope that made sense to you. Okay.